Greetings, Tauvar, and have I got a special video for you today. So you might be wondering, why the hell am I holding a bolt gun? Of all things, this is definitely not Tau, it's heresy, it's archaic, and it belongs in a museum. But your boys just come back from an event this weekend by the guys called Dyson Bolter, hence why I've got a bolt gun, and I took Retaliation Cadre. Now, did quite well. Took pole position, and I can tell you now, it was so refreshing. Playing the Retaliation after playing Kion, Montcar, Kroot was a breath of fresh air, simply because it's got a whole new exciting depth and play style to it that I can guarantee you, if you practice with it and perfect your craft, you can win a GT. And you can really cause a headache for your opponents. So, I'm going to put the bolt gun down now. Let's talk. So, what am I going to do today? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, first off, there's going to be a demonstration of one of the toughest rounds of the event, and a game where I actually discovered a very important secret tech. And it's on par with the Grundy maneuver. And if you don't know what the Grundy maneuver is, go and check it out. It's the Dark Strider Pathfinder combo that has literally hit the scene, especially after Jay over at Pantheon Studios called it the Grundy maneuver, and I've got a new version of it. But I will be going through the realization of this tactic, and I'll be reviewing the event overall, and I'll be reviewing the list that I took and why I took certain choices and combinations, what I was hoping to achieve, what I was kind of predicting in an unknown meta, and also my thoughts around some of the new secondaries and new missions, because, spoiler alert, and hats off to the Dyson Bolter gang, we didn't have the updated UKTC maps with the missions that we're going to choose, so they kind of had to make it up on the fly. They did a very good job, and it was really enjoyable and really good to experience a new 10.5 edition of 40k. I'm also going to be just showcasing some of the community results, and also, I know every video I talk about Join the Puretide Program, it'll be the best thing you ever do. But I want to kind of show you a little bit more. I want to show you a bit of the community side of things. I want to show you the Discord and what's going on and how to sign up, and obviously showcase what it is that we do over at the Puretide Program versus everyone else. So yeah, let's get started. So if you have a look here, obviously on BCP we've got the Puretide Program set up, and one of the biggest things that's given me pride, and actually, believe it or not, helped somehow improve my performance, and I've been playing for 24 plus years, and I think what we do as competitive gamers is that we look at, how we improve, and we micromanage everything. We look at all the the performances, the points, the improvements. What do you need to kind of overcome in terms of your barriers? How are you going to overcome them? What decisions you're making? Are you getting kind of paralysis by analysis? There's so many things that you review after an event. It's crazy. It's part of the fun and the problem solving for me. I really enjoy it. But over the last year, I don't know what's happened in terms of my performance, but I've become very consistent. And a lot of my members as well have also started to create consistency within their results. And all I can really boil it down to is that when you're part of something bigger than yourself, it really improves your motivation, your performance, because you're being inspired and motivated by others around you. So yes, I've created and cultivated a really healthy community within the Puretide Program, where we're positive, we're upbeat, we challenge convention, and we don't get stuck in ruts. We always think of creative solutions, and that's really helped me as a player, as a veteran as well. So, just to name a few, we've got Will B, who's been on the competitive scene just over a year. He's gone to super majors. If you take the Northampton Super Major, he only lost to Manny Chima in a very close game, and he's consistently going 4-1. He's on that bracket of going that 5-0. A fantastic player, and he's just also joined the Try Hard Wargaming group. A great addition, guys. So you're lucky to have this man. He's a fantastic Tau player. But, over the year, he's really improved. We did a video together. We reviewed the Custodes game against Manny. And it's given me so much pride. Another member that I want to shout out who doesn't show on here is Zorro. He's part of the French contingent in Warhammer. There's a lot of them, especially around the WTC. And Zorro came to the LGT last year, and his first ever super major. Ended up going 4-1, and he was only, I think, 4 or 5 battle points behind me. So, those are just 2 members that I've picked out who've done really well over the last year. But there's so many to name. I've got a gentleman called Lee who's not played Warhammer since 7th edition, and he was at this event that I was at this weekend, but he had a goal in mind, which was just, I want to win one game, but I want to consistently score points. And he did consistently score points, and he did win his game. And with such a long time between when he last played 40k and now, it's a completely different game. So talking to these members and saying, what are your aspirations? What are your goals? How can I help you achieve those goals is critical and my main focus. And we've got people over the sea. Joachim, who also goes to super majors, comes over and flies over and takes part in the Bristol. I think he's planning to go to the LGT as well. Wears the jersey, and we have a great laugh, and consistently improving and going against a very volatile meta. We have lots of other members even over in America as well. I just wanted to showcase the Puretide Program's performances, not just from myself, but from everybody else that has taken that leap and joined. Whoops, incoming bad edit. Forgot to mention some crucial information. I did a breakdown of Bristol event with my Puretide Program members, and in this event there was it was a super major in the UK. 14 Tau players attended in total. 3 of them were representing the Puretide Program, including myself. So out of those 14 players in the Leviathan, not Pariah because it wasn't out at the time. It was 6 Kion, 6 Montcar, 1 Retaliation, 1 Crute. Now I break down the detail in terms of the non-Puretide Program members and the Puretide Program members. So with the Puretide Program members, 3 players, all Kion list, 15 games played, 10 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw. Averaging 85 points per game and averaging a 67% win rate. Non-Puretide Program members, 11 players, 53 games played. 1 player did drop after day 2, so minus 2 games. So it was 22 wins, 30 losses, 1 draw. Average points per game was 72. And the average win rate was 41.5%. So 41.5% non-Puretide Program members, 67% Puretide Program members. So a big delta difference. Now, the Kion, the Montcar was obviously favourable in terms of what detachments were taken. Kion, 13 out of 15 games played, 5 wins, 8 losses, 38% win rate, averaging points of 76. Montcar, 30 games played, 14 wins, 15 losses, 47%, averaging 70 points. There was a 1 Crute player, 5 games, 1 win, 3 losses, 1 draw, averaging points of 60 out of 100, and average win rate was 20%. Retaliation, this was the interesting one. 1 player playing Retaliation before we had all the buffs in the data slate was averaging 86 per game, which is really solid. 40% win rate because he only got 2 wins and 3 losses, but scoring very highly. When you pack it all together and forgetting about the Puretide, non-Puretide, we actually had an okay weekend. 68 games played, 32 wins, 34 losses, 2 draws, 47% win rate, and averaging 74.8 as a collective. But the key thing here is that Puretide Program students are on average scoring 13 points more per game and averaging 66% win rate based off that event. But usually I'm finding that my players are averaging around about the 90 points, and with people winning anything from RTTs to GTs, but putting in solid consistency at big super majors across the world, because they are focusing on the fundamentals, not on just I need to blast my opponent off the board and win games. They're looking at the core fundamentals of the game that win you the games, not just I expect to win because I've taken the biggest, baddest list, or I found that little Jimmy or John has taken this list and done really well. We are constantly pushing each other to think beyond what's possible and what's not possible. We're looking at how do we consistently perform within the core fundamentals of the game. So anyway, I'm going to add this edit in, and then you're going to have a little bit of a pause, and it's going to go straight back to me talking about something else. Go. And if you are looking to join a like-minded community whilst also kind of improving your performance at your own rate, whether you're a new player, you've been around the block a bit, or you're a veteran, doesn't matter. We've got a community to help all levels of players. Now, speaking of like the performance, one thing that I'm personally proud of is that the community that's been built over the last year has allowed me to go to tournaments, feel a sense of pride that I've created something that others are enjoying, and in return, it's actually helped me perform selflessly. And I know, obviously, I've achieved a lot in my time, and top Tau player and stuff, but I am a mono-faction specialist. I have been playing Tau, like I said, for 24 years. It just comes with experience. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are also phenomenal Tau players and doing really well in their own right, but you'll find that mono-faction specialists, this is to be expected of them, because if you practice something over and over and over again, repetition alone will get you a better performance over time. So I absolutely love speaking to faction specialists, hence why I've done a couple of new videos that have been out with interviewing GSC faction specialists. I plan to do a lot more as well, and they can really offer the wider community something more than just, hey, I play every single faction and I'm doing really well because I'm a top player in the world, and that's fine. There are some phenomenal players, Manny Chima, Josh Roberts, Vic VJ, Nassim, all of these players out there that play different factions. They're just great players. But for me, my specialty is one faction, and I've been lucky enough to be in a position where I can build a business and build a community based off that. Now, my performance over the last, should we just say 4 months, 5 months, I've been challenging myself to take different lists. I've been challenging myself to consistently work on my loss differential, because that's huge. Because if you work on your loss differential and you keep it to about 8 to 13 points, and that could be a particular primary swing, it could be a set of secondary cards, it could be various tactical plays that you do within game that can actually tip you over from that I'm going to lose to actually I can clutch victory at the last moment. So my last super majors, I've now, I've gone undefeated in a total of 1 GT and 4 super majors, one of them being a team tournament. And I've not just taken the broken list, I've taken Crute when everyone was laughing thinking it was a meme. And then I showcased the Kion in the index as well, where I was doing the stat check style of list with triple Ghost Kill, triple Riptide, Hammerheads, going with a bit of a different style of list than people were taking the past with all the crisis suits. I was constantly creating new and innovative lists to actually challenge the current meta, and that performed very well. I undefeated at the Bristol Super Major, the Manchester Super Major, Oxford Super Major. Also in terms of, so the Oxford, the Bristol, the Manchester Super Major, the Dyson Bolter one, the ITT when I took Crute. Our team didn't do as well as we'd like, but still, with Crute undefeated. And then my only couple of losses have been one with the Goonhammer Open versus Josh Roberts, a well-deserved win, and he's been killing it on the scene currently. So consistency has been created, and I've now got to that level even when I had a game against Vic VJ, Oxford, and just speaking to a fellow Team England player, and just having that compliment saying, "Oh, you've really come into your own. You're very consistent." So that gives me pride, just even from my not enemies, but my opponents that I'm likely to face across the table at any given major in the UK. So I owe that to the community and everybody around me, and I thank you for your ongoing support, and I will continue to challenge create lists for you and help you get to that achievement that you want to get to, whether it be I want to go to my first event, whether it's I want to win a GT, an RTT, or I just want to score consistent points. It's not all about winning, it's about the journey getting from A to B, and that's different for every person. So that's just something that I really pride myself in getting stuck into. So yeah, okay, look, I am very proud. I'm now 5th in the world. Josh Roberts is first, Manny Chima. A year ago, I would have never considered that I'd be currently in the top 5. I always had like the top 20 in the world, maybe, or so on and so forth. I obviously always wanted to be top Tau, and lots of people are ahead on my heels. Brandon Valley, who's doing amazing work overseas. He's been challenging me this season, and I'd love to see it. So I'm currently 5th in the world. I'm currently top Tau, but like I said, Brandon Valley is right behind me. James Hobbs in the UK, also a good player. And then you've got, Donald Plummer. We've got a few others that where has he gone? You've got Jacob Whitehouse, who's another UK player with Tau doing really well. We've got Will B. He's only had a couple of super majors. These don't reflect his scoring potential. You've got just there's so many. There's Terry. There's just too many people that I'm just trying to actually remember. But in terms of like where they're based, and I forgot. Apologies if I've just forgotten your names. I'm really embarrassed. But hey ho, my point is that there's lots of talented Tau players out there that I love to see get improving the performance and going from step by step to achieve what they're trying to achieve. So, in terms of the actual Discord itself, okay, so look, nice and quick. Let me just sort out the. Let me 1 second. Let me just sort out my OBS. Cool. This is going to be a bit clunky, so let me just right. So when you join the Puretide program, you will come to a welcome page. You've got information. You accept the rules, basic standard rules. Don't be an asshole. In short, keep it positive. And then you accept, and then it gives you access to lots of things. It'll give you access to the Chassuie. So we've got announcements that I make of upcoming videos. We've got introduce yourself, so you'll find that people are introducing themselves from all around the world, how long they've been playing, thinking of getting back to 40k after a long decade or so. Then there's some veteran players joining. We've got a general chat, so people are discussing things like AP, characters, because the Retaliation is the new hotness, really in depth. And look, since 20 to 7, 1st of July, we've had 100 plus messages. It's constantly popping off. We've got channels for list discussion where people are comparing their lists. You've got kill team discussions, lore discussions, show off your models. So people are showing off their paint jobs, their models that they're creating, some beautiful artwork that's coming from people. And it's amazing to see. And then we've got the Creator Food, a meme channel, battle report videos, so we keep each other up to date on what's going on. We've also got the Greater Food. People love food. People have to eat. And then we've got the Promote Yourself, so people promoting things that they're doing, making little printable PDFs for the pariahs. Hank Boone has created a Tau list compressor, so it compresses things from GW and makes it into a simple format for when you're sharing your list on Discord. It's just a great place for people to just hang out, talk, and we've even got voice channels. We've then got TTS gaming. We've got the TTS resources, people looking for games. You can create your voice chat, speak to people, have a hobby hangout, whatever. It's all there. And then obviously I've got the information in terms of if you want to go a little bit further. So we have obviously different tiers. Everything I've just shown you is part of the free community, but then I do have a paid subscription. And what you get for the paid subscription depends on obviously what you need. You've got the purple here, which is the Pathfinder, so it's your entry level. You get things like a general discussion, list discussion, rule discussion. So we have a fantastic member who goes by Black Goodbye. He is an absolute god when it comes to rules queries, everything. We've got like 3D printing for tokens and Puretide Program tokens and things like that. That Mappo does, and he's so good at what he does, getting people those little things that they need. We've got list discussions, which I'll review, and then we've got a separate section saying commanders list. So this is all the lists that I create and talk about. I'll put into here, like my new retaliation list that I ran. We've got the filthiest Kyle list, the Montcar variants, the recruit list. I've got everything. So anything that I come up with is put into there for members to see prior to these events that you see pop up online. And then if you join with and you also get demonstration calls. So when I go into my calendar, I've got various things that I set up of live interactive calls, hobby hangout, live demonstration, premium list building, better than meta, there's quiz the commander, there's loads. And I've categorized it in terms of green, blue, and purple. So if you're a Pathfinder, anything purple is available to you. Hobby hangout calls. Blue is Shaspray. So every 2 weeks, people come online with me in a live call and share me the lists, and I give them top tips, hints, and ways to adjust them, things to think about. And then obviously we've got things like the Chassels, so we go better than meta. So what we do is we review the meta every month, sometimes more, and we look at what you're needing to prepare for when you go to events. So that's just a small little thing that I do throughout. There's a lot of time and energy put into this Discord, and I really want to give out that extra value to my members. And the one thing I really pride myself on is the demonstration days that I do. And I use TTS, demonstrate topics. I got one this Friday, and we're going to go through, positioning, deployment. And then that is only just the scratch. That's the scratch of the surface. I have all the videos that I do are uploaded to an online library within WAP, which is the website I use to sign up. I record everything, I upload everything, and I've even got like a basics folder where I've got basic top tips for newer players and to how to get to grips with 40k. There's so much, guys. But anyway, that's a lot to digest, and thank you for giving me that kind of time and listening in just to see what it's all about. So in terms of the one last thing I'll show you, and then we'll get straight to the actual event itself, and I've got something really spicy for you, so you'll enjoy this. So in terms of the website, all you do is you go onto the Puretide Program, and there'll be a link in the description, and then you're presented with this page. You've got the Shaswi, so free access. You just click on it, get your access, and then it'll take you to the Discord. And if you're considering some of the paid options, you've got Pathfinder, Shaspray, and Chassel. So if I was just to summarize, if you click on it, it tells you exactly what you get. Access to live demonstrations, live games, Rate My List channel, dedicated 10th edition rules channel, hobby hangout, and then it actually highlights everything like premium lists, deployment and scoreboard screenshots, lots of things that are available, and the Chassel is your high tier. And then if you just look at some of the reviews that people leave, and this is something that has been unprompted. People leave these reviews, and again, I'm really proud of this. 5 out of 5, 44 reviews, but people have left actual feedback that's specific, not just great service. I like Tau. It's from a Tau community to a Tau home, very interactive program with enough material to occupy the full-time 40k player to the listen while you work dads. Quality conversations that achieve results. My loss differential went from 40 to 18. Sorry, the other way around. Only loss differential 40 to 18. Joining the Puretide Program has been a game changer. Expert advice, interactive sessions, and supportive community. Significantly improved my Tau strategies and overall gameplay, and also helped me enjoy and game more. You've got review after review after review of people leaving good, honest, feedback. Even people saying I was skeptic to these things, but I'm pleasantly surprised. You know, all of this is just real customer feedback, and honestly, yeah, it brought tears to my eyes when I read a lot of them, because it just goes to show, with a good community behind you and you create something of value, people will recommend it and people will enjoy the time. And anyway, so if you fancy joining up, honestly, please do, you know, and reach out to me if you're uncertain and you want to chat. My door's always open. So, right, let's get into it. Dyson Bolter. So, the Dyson Bolter event, it had, I think it was like 23 players, and we were just testing out 10th edition, 10.5 edition, the New Balance data slate and everything like that. So we had the roster, we had, you know, Custodes, Necrons, Chaos Knights, Chaos Space Marines, Death Guard, GSC, Grey Knights, Necrons, Space Marines, Sisters, Grey Knights, Death Guard, Imperial Knights, CSM, Eldari, Custodes, Admech, Tau, Eldari, Space Marines. So a varied field. Obviously, some factions shown more than others. And I ended up taking first place, which was really good, because for me, I was trying out a new Retaliation list, and I wanted to really help that performance for the community go up, because we were sitting at around about 42% in terms of win rate, so it wasn't quite as strong as, say, Kyle and Montcar. So there was something maybe that wasn't quite clicking with people's lists or how they were using them. And so I decided to create a list to be very balanced, and I was trying to kind of predict what I thought might be popular in the meta. I was expecting, like, obviously Grey Knights, I was expecting CSM, I was expecting some sort of Sisters list, and I was kind of tailoring a few of my picks to deal with things like, you know, anti-infantry or anti-tank, or what am I doing in terms of battle line, because the big changes to battle line. And I was thinking more of the kind of fundamentals rather than I need raw damage to win me these games. It was more, okay, what archetypes of list do I need to create to have a balanced list to go into a very unpredictable meta at the moment. So what I'll do is I'll just go through my pairings, and I'll give you the lists that I went against, and I'll also talk about my list. I'll probably start with doing my list first, but what I'm planning to do is I'm doing a breakdown of every single game, turn by turn, card by card, point by point, over in my Discord, and it'll be for Pathfinder tier and above. So you don't have to sign up to the highest level to get access to this, just the lowest £5 a month, whatever it is, and you will get access to these preloaded videos, so you can kind of understand my approach to every single part of every single one of these games. And I am going to showcase one of the matchups, which is my round 4 versus Custodes, because that was the tipping point of whether or not I was going to potentially win the event or not. It was a very important game, and it was also the game that made me realise a new tactic, a new play, and it's phenomenal. So, my list. Okay, let's load it up. So, what I ended up doing was, obviously, the Retaliation Cadre has a very important detachment rule, which is from turns 1 all the way to 5, so it's not linked to turns 1, 2, and 3 like Kion, or 3, 4, and 5 like Kion, or 1, 2, and 3 with Montcar. You can have access to this special rule, or detachment rule, throughout the entire game. And that is, if you're within 12 inches, you get +1 strength. If you're within 6 inches, you get +1 AP. And this is obviously applying to your ranged weapons. So, what wants access to that? Well, battle suits, let's go. And this is only battle suits, so it doesn't apply to anything like strike teams or recruits. It's just specifically battle suits. So I went with the man, the legend, the Tau Daddy, Commander Farsight. He has had a big glow up in the new edition, if you will, because of the change to the battle tactics, reducing stratagems, free stratagem things. So it's no longer linked to just battle tactics. So you can reduce the cost of a CP by 1. So if it's 1, it's 0. If it's 2, it's 1. If it's 3,000, it's 2,999 CP. Doesn't matter. You reduce it by 1. And it can be on any stratagem. So you know, this is really important, and I'll go over some of the stratagems after I've gone through the list, but there's a few key stratagems that you really want to make use out of in this detachment. So, he was there. Nice. I like Commander Farsight. I haven't used him in a long while, so I took him. Commander in Cold Star, 2 missile pods, high output burst, 1 cyclic, 2 shield drones. Cold Star, +2 move for the Crisis team, and also gives them the assault keyword. Farsight has his ability where when he gets him and his retinue, it's not when he's leading, just him and his retinue gets +1 to wound when they're within 9 inches. Again, so think about those buffs, +1 strength, +1 AP, and with Farsight, +1 to wound when you're within 9. Cold Star, assault keyword, and also +2 move for the Crisis team when leading them. So I've got 2 Cold Stars, armed the exact same, high output burst, cyclic, 2 missile pods, 2 shield drones. Then I've got the Commander and Enforcer battlesuit. So 4 missile pods, 2 shield drones, and the enhancement Starflare ignition system, which allows you to basically do what is called in the scene as uppy downy. So effectively, you at the end of the opponent's fight phase, you go up into deep strike, and then you basically can come down in your next turn. And if you go second, because you are starting on the battlefield, you may deep strike in turn 1, which is huge. We see a lot of armies doing that, such as Grey Knights, Necrons, and this ability is so powerful. And the Enforcer, when leading a unit, reduces incoming AP by 1, so it's the equivalent of Armour of Contempt. Now, he is slightly different from the Cold Stars. He is a little bit more durable, so he has a 2+ save. Less movement, because he's a chunky boy, so he's 2+ save. And the missile pods, you'll understand why I've taken missile pods when I get through to the crisis detachments. Sorry, crisis suit data sheets. So, I spoke about battle line and the importance of it. A lot of mission rules now favour battle line, giving you things like advance and do actions, fall back and do actions, shoot and do actions. So, battle line. Breaches are very good output, and I'm not saying breaches don't fit in all the detachments, because they do, but strike teams are cheap, and they have a access to quite a situational rule, but it can come in clutch. So strike teams have suppression volley, and what that basically is that in short, you shoot something that's an infantry unit, and they suffer a -1 to the hit rolls. So notice the -1 to the hit rolls is both for shooting and combat. So suppression volley, shoot something, you're given a -1, which is kind of nice, situational. It came up a couple of times, but it can keep your crisis suits alive a little bit longer. So Guardian drone, marker drone. You can take a gun drone if you want, does the same thing, but marker drone allows you to advance and guide. A gun drone gives you the assault keyword, so you can advance and still be eligible to shoot, so you can still guide. I get it. I just like to go Chad mode and take a marker drone. And I've got 3 strike teams, because the way I've designed this list, and it's something I didn't mention in my other video about how to build a balanced retaliation list, is that I've designed this list to potentially do 3 out of the 4 secret missions. And I'll go through that with the stratagems in a second. So strike teams have the -1 to wound with a Guardian drone for ranged, and they're OC2 each, and they're a 10-man unit, so they've got a good board control presence, and they've got quite a survivable profile with a Guardian drone, and yeah, they're going to be my action monkeys, whilst also guiding as well, because they've got the mark like keyword. So then I needed some form of anti-tank, and I talked about it in the other video. So I just went with the classic 2 broadsides, heavy rails, 2 missile drones, seeker missile, weapon support system, just to avoid any kind of smoke and minuses to hit. I needed them to connect, rather than taking, say, SMS or plasmas. So I wanted to be a dedicated anti-tank, job's done, there we go, 2 broadsides. Then I go with a finite team. Now, rather than going to the drones of every single crisis team, like I said in the other video, I've gone gun drone, marker drone on the team leader, shield drone, gun drone on every other crisis suit. And the reason I've done that is simply because of the way Bring It Down works. So, Bring It Down, if you are at under 15 wounds, you only give away 2 VP. If you are between 15 and I think it's like 20, you give away 4. And then if you're at 21 in total or more, you're giving away 6. So I wanted to minimize that. So, the whole unit has a collective wounds of 14, so done. I only give away 2 if you kill the 3 crisis suits. Very rarely in one activation we will kill all 3 crisis suits plus the commander, so you kill the 3 crisis suits, cool, you've killed that unit, here's your 2 points to bring it down. Perfect. And then if the commander's running around solo and you kill him, there's another 2 VP. Alright, it's manageable. So the list doesn't bleed bring it down. So people might look at the list and think, oh, bring it down, loads of suits. Actually, in short, I think this list gives away around about 28 or something like that. But very rarely will you actually get all those points. Fire Knife. All missile pods. Fire Knife, full rerolls to hit if the opponent's at full starting strength. And if they're below starting strength, you reroll 1s. And they ignore all modifiers to hit. So, perfect. It's basically Tetra rerolls at the starting engagements. I've got Star Scythe unit, all with bursts. Star Scythe can fall back and shoot, and they also get an extra AP when they're targeting non-vehicles and monsters. So infantry, beasts, whatever it may be, you get an extra AP. So it makes the burst cannons go to AP 1, and then obviously if you're within 6, AP 2. So 24 burst cannon shots. Thank you very much. And then I've got 2 units of those, and I got a Sunforge battle suit team. So again, all fusions, and they've got an invuln and. Good for anti-tank. Strength 9, +1 strength within 12, strength 10, rerolling all wounds and damage against monsters and vehicles. A Ghost Kill with a Cyclic Iron Raker, fall back and shoot system, and Fusion Blaster, Twin Fusion Blaster. 2 Riptides, 2 Missile Drones, Ion Accelerator, Twin Fusion Blaster, and 3 Stealth Teams, all identical with 1 Fusion Blaster, the 2 Burst Cannons, the Homing Beacon, and the battlesuit support system, so that team leader with the Fusion Blaster can fall back and shoot, which is important, and I've got a Shield Drone, Marker Drone. So that rounds out the list. So the list is basically designed and very smartly in terms of I needed my anti-tank, so I've got my Sunforge with Farsight, so most of the time I was joining Farsight to the Sunforge for that +1 wound, +1 to wound when they're 9. I've got my Fire Knife team with my Enforcer for uppy, downy, long ranged, full rerolls, lots of shots. I've got my Star Scythe teams for anti-infantry, for the extra AP against non-monsters or vehicles, and the Cold Stars to give them assault. I've got my Riptides as kind of like mid-table bullies, or units to cover firing lanes. I've got my Ghost Kill, which is a consistent scorer. He baits out the enemy, he can kind of do a lot of secondaries for me, he can force people into engagements to come and deal with him, then my Crysuits can deep strike. My Guiders, I've got my 3 stealth teams, but then my strike teams can also guide as well. And I've got Battle Line, I've got Broadsides for anti-tank, so I've got it all in that list. So, stratagems. The main stratagems that you want to be using in this detachment is the Fire and Fade, so it's called the Torch Star Gambit. 1 CP, you basically make a normal move. So, shoot, scoot, done. Fire Knife team can do it, okay. You have to be a little bit careful with that because the Enforcer's only movement 8, the Crisis team are movement 10. Star Scythe love this because they're movement 12, because the Cold Star's joining them, +2 move. So both my Star Scythe have the Cold Stars in, the Enforcer goes in the Fire Knife, Farsight goes in the Sunforge. And then you can even do it with your Sunforge. I know they're only movement 10, but hey, you get in range, you blast something with your melters, you get in your melter range, and then you bugger off. And then the other stratagem is the Way of the Shortened Blade, 3-inch deep strike. So you need that extra AP for your Star Scythe. Deep strike 3 inches away. You need that melter 2 on your fusions within 6 because they're range 12. Way of the Shortened Blade. Missile pods, you want to push them to AP 2. Strength 7, but they're going with strength 8. Way of the Shortened Blade. Can you see how this works? Riptide, you want to pop out, shoot something when your Crysuits are not on the board, and then fire and fade away. There you go. So you've got a lot of options with just those 2 stratagems. Other stratagems that I've really been loving using is the Arachon Protocol. Arachon Protocol, basically, if you're targeting something with 6 or more models, sustain hits 1. If your opponent has 11 or more models, sustain hits 2. Gives you a little bit of flavour of Kyle. Love it. Burst Cannons, 24 Burst Cannon shots from a Star Scythe unit, plus the Commander. It's great. So let's talk a little bit about those commanders as well, because I did forget to mention that the reason I've gone with 2 missile pods of cyclic and high output burst is when they're part of the Star Scythe unit, those missile pods will go from AP1 to AP2. The cyclic, when overcharged, is AP2, which would go to AP3. And then if, for example, you're within 6, suddenly those missile pods are going from standard AP1, within 6, AP2, if you're targeting a non-monster vehicle, AP3, and then you're also Yeah, so you're basically getting AP3 missile pods and AP4 cyclics. So AP1 standard, AP2 because you're within 6, AP3 because you're targeting a non-monster vehicle. And then the cyclic is already AP2 and overcharged, so AP4 adds +2 to the AP. It's huge, it's massive. So, that's a little bit about the list. Secret missions. I designed my list around achieving the one where you can get your Warlord in the enemy's home field objective, because the Star Flare guy, the Enforcer, is my Warlord. You can go up, and because he's on the battlefield, he doesn't have to come down next turn. You can just stay, and then you can go for that late game play and take the home field, because you can deep strike away, shoot them, and then fire and fade onto objective. Thank you very much. Secret mission. Because I've taken 3 battle line units, I can do the battle line one where I just have the battle line in their DZ. I can hold a strike team in reserve and then walk on in turn 3, and then stay there and protect them with crisis suits, and then clear all their battle line units with my deep strikes and my crisis teams, my star scythe. Achieve that one. Or the traditional one that Tower tends to love to do is the Unbroken Wall, which is at the end of the game, as long as you hold 3 in no man's land, you just get 20 points. So blast the hell out of them, walk onto objectives at the end of the game, get 20 points. So those are the 3 secret missions that I built my list around achieving if I needed it. Yeah. So that's the list. I'll post up a paste bin in the description for the list for you guys to actually have. Beautiful list, worked perfectly by design. Now, pairings. So my first round was against a Tau Mirror. So, a lovely guy. He was playing Kion. It was Paul Danforth. His list was Kion. In short, 2 Cadre Fireblades, 2 Cold Stars, all with fusions, Marker Drone, Shield Drone. No enhancements like Kion or anything like that. Just 2 Cadres, 2 Cold Stars, 40 Breaches. He had 2 Devilfish. 2 Broadsides with the Plasma Seeker heavy rail missile drones. 2 Sunforge teams. He didn't go Marker Drone. Couldn't drone, he went all shields. He had 2 Pathfinder teams, with the one with Recon and one with the Grav Inhibitor drone, and the 3 Iron Rifles in each. He had 2 Riptides, Iron Accelerated Twin Fusion, and the missile drones, 2 stealth teams, and that was it. So in short, the first mission that Dyson Bottle decided to do was, I think it was a Linchpin, and it was, 1 second, Linchpin and Raise Banners. So, favours battle line, because you can raise banners, you just have to be on objectives. And obviously I'm not going to go into huge detail about the game, because it's going to be on over in the Discord in the videos I'm going to do, but it ended up as a 92-43 victory to me. Tau Mirror with Retaliation, you can always get the engagements you want, because obviously most of your army is deep striking, and the 3-inch deep strike was very hard to screen out. But I think the positioning game here was the big decider. I was always picking my engagements. I was being very selective in terms of screening his Sunforge out, whilst also being able to get the engagements I needed to do the damage early. And yeah, that's pretty much how it went. Primaries scored solidly, 42 out of 50, and my secondaries was 40 out of 40. So 92-43. Then I go on to, let me get rid of that, round 2. So I'm going now into Eldar. So Eldar is usually quite a tricky one for Tau to deal with, because lots of phantasm tricks, fate dice, fast-moving armies. So, I was respectful of Eldar, but I wanted to get maybe my own back on lots of Eldar shenanigans that I've been too used to putting up with. So his list was an Autark with the Dragon Fusion Gun, Howling Banshee Mask, Eldrad, basically gives him an extra 3 fate dice, so he starts with 9 rather than 6. Spirit Seer with the Weeping Stones, Spirit Steer with the Reader of the Runes, Yunkan, so teleporting bad girl that goes and stabs you good after when they've shot something dead. 10 Guardian Defenders, 2 Wave Serpents with the Bright Lance and the Shuriken Cannon, Dark Reapers, Fire Dragons, Howling Banshees, Viper with the Bright Lance, Warp Spiders, 2 Wraithguard units, so Spirit Seers will go into there. Fugan's obviously part of there as well, I think. Yeah, Fugan, there we go. So yeah, typical, loads of characters, really good units to kind of plunk away, or not just plink away, sorry, absolutely decimate monsters and vehicles with the Wraith cannons, and lots of little mission pieces. Now, we played on Purge the Foe, and Purge the Foe is basically hold one, kill more, hold more. They did make an alteration to this that you couldn't get kill more in turn one, which I think is great for the game. But this game was just over before it began because there was a major deployment mistake my opponent did, and it ended up in me demeching them and kind of just gaining ascendancy and deep striking and just getting to where I need to be, and then obviously elves just die to anything, and T3 elves with burst cannons at strength 6, turns out that you just look at them and they fold. So it was 100 to 18, so quite a victory. And I'll be going over that in the Discord, and I'll show you exactly how I picked apart the Eldar and what I did, so go and check it out if you want to become a member. So, then we look at round 3. Now, round 3, I was going up against Grey Knights, so another army that can do teleportation tricks and uppy downies and just threaten you. And it was a typical Grey Knight list where 2 Grandmaster Dread Knights, one of them with the Sigil of Excellence, which is basically just you target me and I redeploy. So you shoot me and you can choose to redeploy. And then you got the other Grandmaster at first to the fray, so he gets +1 to his charge. So if he comes from 9-inch deep strike, he'll be an 8-inch charge rather than a 9. And actually, with the pivoting, just as the base, you can actually get a cheekier charge. It's more like a 7, as I learned the other night when I played Andy and taught me about oval bases. So it's quite interesting. But anyway, he's got a unit of Brotherhood Terminator Squad, 2 Strike Squads, an Inceptor Squad ×2, and those are the ones with the Halberds, Storm Bolters, and they've got basically movement 12, and then you've got 3 Nemesis Dread Knights, as we're used to seeing. Basically big massive hammer to go and hit stuff in the face, heavy side cannon, and the heavy incinerator. So strength 10 AP 2 ignores cover flat 3 damage, and then strength 6 AP 1 damage 2d6 ignores cover. And then you've got the Purgation Squad, so again just flamers, 4 incinerators and 1 Purgator Justicar, and then Voidsman Arms. So some mission play, but mainly banking on the Dread Knights to do most of the heavy lifting. So with this one, we played on Scorched Earth, and it was swift action, so your infantry models could advance and do actions, and actually in round 2, against Eldar, it was rapid escalation, so you could come in turn 1 with battle line units of up to a value of, I think, in 2,000 points, it had been 200 points, so definitely made use of that with my strike teams. So yeah, this one, advancing and doing actions with battle line, favoured me massively. We're on Search and Destroy, so 9 inches away from the centre in like your kind of 2 corners. I needed to respect his deep striking, and he needed to respect mine. And hats off to the Grey Knight player. Reese was really funny. He was like, "Oh my god, this is horrible. Is this what I do to people?" with a 3-inch deep strike. I was like, yes, it's kind of painful. So that was a really good game. For me, ended my 100 to his 44. I went first, was able to pressure the board and pick the engagements. So you're noticing a theme here of picking the engagements. And then on to the round 4. And this is where we're going to get into the exercise. So, where is it? Dice and Bolter. Pairings. Round 4. Going against Chris Sayer. A very, very good player. He's playing Custodes. So he's got the Emperor's... He's called it the Emperor's New Venatari. So it's the Strike Host, so crits on 5s. 2 Blade Champions. Valerian. 2 Custodian Guard units, Alarius Custodians, 2 of them, the Terminator ones. You've got the Custodian Wardens, and you've got the Prosecutors, the Venatari unit of 6, a Venatari unit of 3, a Venatari unit of 3, Witch Seekers, a Caladius Assassin, and the Eversaw Assassin. So, You've got action units, so the Witch Seekers, they have a really good Witch Seeker Flamer, so basically it makes you take a battle shock test, so if you overwatches with them, you have to take a battle shock test, it can mess with your actions, and obviously your screens, it can be very, very useful, so I like the addition of this. The Venatari of the Venatari Custodians, so these are the guys with wings, effectively they have a name stratagem now in the datasheet, which is Rapid Ingress, and they all have it, so you have 3 of these units that could all rapid ingress in the same turn. That's horrendous. And you might think, oh, they're not maybe as powerful as the Wardens, right? Wrong. They have like 30 attacks, strength 7, AP 2, 2 damage, but with lance. Crits on 5s. It's crazy. They will hit a Riptide, for example, and kill it. They'll hit a Ghost Kill and kill it in a unit 6. So you've got to respect them, and the fact that they all can come out rapid ingress is a real problem. So very clever list designed by Chris. It's got enough units to play the mission, it's got good durability, and it's got a lot of speed coming from not just the Blade Champions of advancing and charging, but also the Venatari being able to rapid ingress. So give me a second while I sort out my TTS section here. Cool. Let me have a look. I've preloaded up. Right. So here we have it. So we have the deployment. Now, what you've got to realize here is that the mission that we're playing on is a strange one, and we were laughing about this the night before. It's the ritual. So basically, the only one objective in No Man's Land that stays is the one in the center, and then you set up objective markers. So, you know, wholly within No Man's Land, and within 1 inch of your unit, provided it can be set up exactly 12 inches from one other objective marker within No Man's Land, and not within 6 of any other objective marker. So we're basically going to be spawning objectives and holding on to these. So primary, usually, one way or the other, somebody's going to be able to sneak an extra primary than the other. So in my head, I was like, you know, Chris could just, you know, with his Warden bricks, bully primary a little bit early on if he goes first, and get an extra 5 points than me, and then be aiming to deny me primary, and this game's going to just come down to secondaries. And that's exactly what it came down to. It came down to secondaries. The game was 90 points to me and 85 to him. He had a moment where a few small positional... if he'd have positioned his unit slightly differently, and we talked about this afterwards, it would have been an 85-85 draw. So, obviously, like I said, it was the ritual. So we get rid of these objectives here, because they just go away. And then you just start spawning objectives. So, in short, rather than going through... I'll go through a basic deployment with you of what my thought process was. So you had the Eversaw. He scout moves 9. Gets to about here. Then he can move 9. And advance. So an average of 3 on the 9 be like 12. And then he can charge. If he gets any more, it's basically 9 plus a movement of 9, it's 18. Plus 6, it's 24. So he's got a 36-inch threat range. But realistically, if you're giving somebody, let's say, I don't know, a 10, 11-inch charge, they're probably not going to go for it. So that's exactly what I was doing with my strike teams. I was kind of keeping them quite a distance away, same with my stealth suits. And then the same with these strike teams here and the stealth suits here. So I didn't really want the Eversaw to go and just clear some of my battle line units early, because they're going to be huge in this mission. And obviously, he knew that I was going to do this, and he's not really going to go for Ghost Kill or Riptides, but with an infantry, because the Eversaw Assassin has sustain hits 3 on 6s, there is a real chance of him rolling a couple of 6s and then suddenly just blenders the unit. So he had the Eversaw here, he had the Caladius over there. I think he had these actually in reserve, these 2 Alaris Custodians. He had always Venatari in reserve. And then he had basically Warden Brick behind this wall here. Warden Brick here, Warden Brick here, and the Custodian Guard, like over here, as far as I remember. Yeah, and then some Witch Seekers here, Witch Seekers in here, and then obviously Prosecutor team here. So basically, he went first, and shock horror. He summoned an objective, basically there. Yeah. Done. Hello. Summoned it. Moved up. Scout moved him here. Okay. And then basically moved some stuff here. Actually, yeah, it was actually. No, I was right. Apologies. I'm trying to remember this. It was at the weekend. And obviously, Chris, if you're watching, you're kind of being screaming, going, "No, I didn't do that. You're a liar." No, but it was like a champion. Cool. Then basically just pushed up. Had unit basically here. All tucked in. Basically like that. And then he had the thing tucked up here. Moved up. They scout moved. They went to about there. And basically, all he did was basically position very smartly. Keeping like line of sight a bit tricky. Having the Witch Seekers there. And then pushing up. Just so I can't shoot. I think he just took them up in there. Okay. And then basically positioned for his next turn push. Okay. So nice and simple. I'm just going to see what happens. Do some secondaries. He got, in his first turn, he got established locus and containment. So basically, you just contained with sisters over here. Spawned an objective with these prosecutors here. And then moved up some other units and did containment over here with these. Yeah, and that was pretty much it. So, my first turn was effectively just pushing up here, ghost kill there, to basically just shoot there. Riptide was going to shoot some of those Witch Seekers down there. Oh. I'll have to get rid of the, let's just start game, but it won't allow me. So if we just get rid of the deployment line, cool. Yeah, just shooting down there, keeping safe distance away from these guys, because I didn't want them advancing and charging. The Riptide, I was sending the Ghost Keel out there. He did overwatch the Ghost Keel just to try and... no, he didn't actually. He just left it at that. Stealth suits were all positioned accordingly. I moved them up just so I could see down here. So I could shoot all the way down there into those. And then my uppy-downy guys went up into the sky at the end of his... fight phase in the first turn, and then I just basically pushed up here. Strike team rolled a 5, so I got like 11. And this is the thing. Okay, so now we're going to get to the juicy part that you've all been waiting for. So I did something like this. Okay. And then I also then just repositioned these fire warriors. I made a bit of a gap. I just moved them like here, 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 and summoned the objective. Like, did the same thing as him. 1 minute. Why have they not gone away? Oh, it's because I pressed the deployment again. Lol. Cool. So you summoned an objective there. Happy days. And so did I in my first turn. So we're pretty much mirroring each other, as you can see. Goodbye, objective. Nice knowing you. Cool. So basically like that. Alright. Nice and simple. Cool. I put a stealth suit here. Okay. And I had my fire warriors just holding that nice and comfortably. Done. Nothing exciting. I got a bit of a rubbish hand in first turn. I got engage on all front. I got mark for death, cleanse, and engage on all front. So I binned off mark for death. Cleanse was annoying, and then engage on all front. So I was like, brilliant. So that's why my ghost kill went out. So I just got a 2 for engage, and I didn't get a cleanse. Great. Now, this is the clever play. So, Chris knows that this strike team here is going to be annoying for him, because I'm going to push them out and I'm going to screen his Venatari. So, what he does is he moves his Eversor Assassin going hungry for the kill. Right. So he's going to basically make a 7-inch charge to the Fire Warriors. And he will quite comfortably kill most of them or kill all of them. And more importantly, stop my advancing the unit. You know, so I can push out. So I realise this. The rest of the game is irrelevant right now because I'm going to focus in on why this was really important. And what I did to combat this. So this guy I needed dead because he not only is going to clear my infantry, he can actually kill some characters very easily with precision and sustained, and I didn't really want that, so I wanted him out, hence why I baited him with the strike team. Like, come and kill this screen. His warden bricks and stuff aren't really in a position to actually go and get them, so, you know, the custodian guards don't advance and charge, but the warden bricks do, so I had this little bit of a free area here. So he comes out. So he's done all his movement, so we've established that there's no other movements, there's no other threats coming at these strike teams. He's just sending out as minimal units as possible just to clear some of my annoying screens and my action monkeys. Perfect. Here we go. The Puretide Program, Commander Puretide, comes in with this play. So, what I do is I basically rapid ingress for free with the stealth. And I basically go, right. Here we go. And by the way, sorry, he pops a warden brick. I know this is not a warden brick, but it's a warden brick right here. Just to get ahead on the primary. Yeah, because he knows that this turn is the turn to get like a 15. Because in his next turn, he's summoned, in this is turn 2 by the way, he summons another objective here, because he's moved his Calidus. Drops his Calidus down and summons an objective. Yeah, so he's got another one like here. Alright? And he's pushed out this over here to go and slap a ghost kill. So he knows if he goes on there, holds these 2, he gets 15. Smart play, very good. So I basically know that they're now there. They've got some shooting that I have to respect. So basically, I just rapid ingressed here with my fire knife team with all the missiles. Within 3. Because it's not wholly within 3, you just have to be within 3. That's 2.3, so I need to move them up a little bit. Cool, 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 cool. Right. So I positioned them just within 12. Yeah, I think the Eversor was a little bit more like that. So it was just within 12. Yeah. And 11.1 is what I could get away with, I think it was. It needed a 12-inch charge, or 11-inch charge. I think I did it. So I did that. Keeping safe of this unit, but they advanced, so they couldn't charge anyway. So, think about why I've done that for a second. Have you guessed it? Overwatch. Now, think about which unit has just come in. That's my fire knife team. That if it's at full start, if the target's at full starting strength, I get full rerolls to hit. And he was like, "Oh no, I don't want to lose. I know I'm going to lose the Eversor next turn, but I don't want to lose him in my turn." And basically went, "You know what? We did the maths. It was going to be 12 shots from the Crisis. So just by maths alone, I'm not going to roll dice. 12 shots, you get 2 6s. Your full rerolls, so that's 10 of them, you get another one. So that's 3 6s. And then you're winning on strength 8, goes to strength 7, goes to strength 8, so it's 2s, so you get 3 wounds. Let's just say he passes 2 of them, given the benefit of doubt, he's down to 2 wounds. The commander, 8 shots, gets 1 6. Rerolls the other 7, gets another 1. That's 2. Both wound. He fails 1, he's dead. And then you've got the gun drones. 6 shots, 1 6. Reroll the 5, you don't get 1, it's another wound. So he's guaranteed to die from the Overwatch alone. So scenario 1, he does charge, he dies, and then it's the end of the fight phase, and I just go, okay, see you later. And I just basically, at the end of the fight phase, I go away. Because at the end of the opponent's fight phase, you pick up the unit with a Star Flare and go away. So I've Rapid Ingress for free, so I've used the Homing Beacon ability with the Stealth, and I would do the Overwatch after he's rolled the charge. So if he failed it for some reason, then I don't have to do Overwatch, but if he makes it, then I do choose to Overwatch. And if I spent a CP in Overwatch, then fine. It would normally usually cost me 1 CP for Rapid Ingress, but that's for free. I spend 1 CP on Overwatch. And I don't necessarily always have to do it because he could fail the charge. And then, either way, whatever he does, whether he does go for the charge or doesn't, this unit of Crisis Team is going back into reserve at the end of their fight phase. So there is literally no downside. And that is one of the new tricks and tactics that you can do with a finite team. And I'm going to go into more detail about the other applications of this, but trust me, there are loads. Think about why people charge stuff onto objectives. Could it be to take you off it from OC value? And is that unit potentially at full OC when they're charging? Full starting strength? Probably. Do you kill a few models that could potentially make them lower in OC value so you could hold on to primaries? There's lots of other applications to it as well. And the other thing is that stealth suits have a homing beacon. There is no restriction on when you can Rapid Ingress. So this unit that can go up and down, and come in turn 4, go away, come down turn 5. If you're, for example, on turn 5, you were going second, and your opponent in turns, you just walked on these stealth suits on turn 3 here, right? You've walked on that your turn 3. They've not dealt with them, okay? And then in turns 4, you move them to go and do a secondary, and they're coming like, no, I don't like these stealth suits. Because this unit is in reserve, you can Rapid Ingress for free on turn 4. Or turn 5. Yeah, so if the opponent went first, you could Rapid Ingress on their turn 5. Because Deep Strike doesn't follow, or even Strike Reserve. So, this Starflare Ignition system, plus the Enforcer and Homing Beacon, can be used to great efficiency. And I am so looking forward to it. So look, I've revealed a really big secret there for you. And honestly, worked perfectly. The Overwatch threat. Then you just go back into Strat Reserve or Deep Strike because it's the end of the opponent's fight phase. This guy is an absolute Chad. And I love it. So, this game ended... let me just go back to my OBS. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me get rid of the TTS. Web page. So many screens. Cool. So, 90 to 85. And then on to round 5. Was against Chaos Knights. And it was on a mission that was Hammer and Anvil. It was the Burden of Trust and Hidden Supplies, so split objectives in the middle. Burden of Trust, where you are guarding objectives, so the Ghost Kill pretty much, worth his weight in gold. Guarded stuff. So like I said at the beginning, it was a fantastic event. I ended up taking first place. Really enjoyed every single one of my games. And what I would say to you is that with Retaliation, take my list, have a play around with it. It's well designed. It's not a list that you can just pick up and play. You have to perfect your craft. You have to be both a master of Montcar and a master of Kion. You need to know when to be defensive, when to be aggressive. And I can promise you this, though, it is a hell of a lot of fun. It can pick engagements. You've got plenty of mission pieces. You've got plenty of tricks that you can do. The stratagems are powerful. And watching your opponents try and block out 3-inch deep strikes is kind of entertaining. because they can't, inevitably, and they just have to accept that at some point you're going to deep strike in. So overall, Retaliation, love it, and hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you have enjoyed my explanation of things in terms of like my demonstration on the TTS. I know I've had some really positive feedback from you all in the comments saying that you liked the format of when I did the list building. I do all of these creative things within my Discord, so please, please, please go and check it out, guys. Links in the description below. I've talked enough about the Puretide Program. I think it's now time to say, wish you farewell until the next time. Alright? Catch you guys later. Thank you very much.